Good morning, Kesley. It's good to see you again. Today we're going to divide our session into 3 parts. As you know, we only have 20 minutes and we only have 1 session left after this. So I hope that you're enjoying these and I hope that you're finding them that they're helping you. And I've been enjoying them and I feel like we have made progress. I feel like we have done well together, and I hope that you agree, and maybe we'll talk about that after the next sessions, just to see how you felt like these sessions helped you. So I just want to tell you ahead of time before we start that the 3 parts of our meeting today will be about your progress as the first part. The second part is going to be sort of like a game, and I'll explain to you how to play. And then the third part is about the differences between teasing and bullying. Okay, so I'm going to, since I love to bring candy into our sessions, I am going to incorporate these Skittles, and I'm glad that they're not discolored because my daughter took them in the bath with her. I thought maybe water got through the paper, but it didn't, so we're safe. Okay, so basically I'll pull out a Skittle, and that Skittle will represent a question, and it's not really color coordinated this time. It's just going to represent a question. So I'll pull one out, ask you a question, and then you can have them if you want. And if you don't, I'm going to eat them. Okay? Okay, so the first thing is I want to ask you what has changed since our last meeting.
That they haven't really said much,
Okay.
but they still have said stuff.
Okay. So it's getting better, but it's still happening.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing you say. Okay. Do you think it's like progressively getting better?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean by progressively, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's getting a little bit better every week, it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
If you could rate it on a scale from 1 to 10, what do you think what do you think the number is between 1 and 10 of the progress that you have made since we first started talking?
About like a 4 or 5.
4 or 5. Okay, I think that's good. Okay, I forgot my Skittle for that one, so there you go. Okay, number 3. Can you give me an example of when you avoided a scenario with these bullies, as we're calling them?
Yes. When I sat with my friends at lunch, but I had a friend in between me and them. And when they said something to me, I just didn't listen to them and I heard what they said. It just kept talking to my other friends, so I didn't really hear them.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then playing sports at recess time, I just played volleyball with some of my other friends. So I just avoided playing like soccer or whatever they were playing. I just went to a different sport.
That's awesome, because we talked about that as one of the solutions, right? So I'm glad that you found a way to actually use that while you were at school. Was it difficult, or did it come naturally? Did you just feel like you knew that was the thing that was going to help, so it was kind of just came natural, easy to do, or how would you explain that?
I guess you could say it came naturally, because I was kind of just wanted a day without them saying something, or a day without them saying a lot of stuff. So when I did that, they didn't really say anything to me.
Yeah, it sounds like we sort of figured it out, right? That if they know that they'll get a reaction from you, and if they know that You'll respond to them, and if you're around them and if you're sort of in their view, they know that they have the opportunity to pick on you, right? Okay. I want you to give me an example, please, of how you externalized the problem and didn't let it take over your thoughts and feelings. Remember the externalization exercise we did last time, where we put it separate from all the things that are important in your life. Remember that you drew on that page? Can you give me an example of when you were able to externalize it and make it unimportant?
When I got to go to art class and make this little chime thing that we made that was like, we picked out a stick and then we painted hearts and it hung down and we had little bells at the end so we could hang it in our room. And that's what kind of just made me not think about that and just had fun at art class with my friends.
Good. Was that a day, what happened at school that day? Do you remember? Particularly?
That day, when I was playing volleyball and I had hit the ball, when I was serving it, I hit the ball to the kid and he just kept hitting it out, and then during class he called me a name, and then I was like, well, at least I know how to play volleyball and can hit the ball. And then he was like, well, I played about a year ago, and and everybody's like, exactly, just leave her alone. You were the one who keeps starting all of this. And then he didn't say anything to me after that.
So it sounds like that was a day where you didn't avoid, but you did confront, like you did respond to him and sort of let him know that you didn't like it. Right?
Yeah.
What else? What else do you want to add to that?
I don't really have anything else to add to that.
Okay. But you did feel good because later on that day you were able to do something that you really love.
And without like the rest of the day, since it was a half day, he didn't say anything else to me really. But then I got to leave and got to go to art, so it kind of just like that. I was happy about having a half day and then happy about getting to go to art after school. So.
I like being in a new environment, somewhere different, where you didn't have to worry about anybody bothering you because you were there with your friends.
Yeah. Well, like friends from like 3rd and 4th grade because they are in my classroom, and well, there's a couple kids from my class that go to the thing, but they aren't the people that are mean.
Okay. Okay, so I kind of want to see how this situation plays out. And since we only have you here, I am hoping that you are willing to try this exercise. It's called the empty chair exercise. And what you're going to do is you're going to play the part of the boy who teases you the most. It can just have him in your head. You know, think of one of the kids, right? Come over here and sit in this chair, and you're going to say something to Casley, who would be sitting in this chair. Say something that he would say, you know, whether it be about what you're wearing, what you're doing, you know, just kind of a typical situation. You're going to say what he would say to you, and you're talking to an empty chair, right? You're going to imagine that you're sitting there. And then when you're done with that, you're going to go sit back in your chair and respond the way that you would respond. Then you're going to go back and talk back to yourself the way that you feel he would respond, and you're just going to go back and forth until it's over. Okay? Does that make sense? Do you mind doing that for us, just to see how? Okay. All right, well, go ahead and start. So you go ahead and start over here, and you know what? You want the rest of these, I'll get them out for you. And remember, you're talking to Casley, who's now imaginary.
And so,
And take your time. can just be like similar to what's happened before, or just something that you can imagine happening because it happens often enough to where you know the drill.
I guess when like when like stop talking, you're being too loud, I can't concentrate, and then
Okay.
and then I say,
So what would you tell him?
would say, worry about yourself. There's teachers around to tell me what to do, and I was just asking for help on a question.
Talk to him.
Well, that's
Okay, and you want to come back?
that. Well, you're not the boss of me. Don't say that to me either. And then I just turned to my friend and just like not even listen to what he said to me.
Okay. Good. I'm glad I got to see that. It kind of puts into perspective the way that things go. Okay, that's good. That is good information for me. I want to talk a little bit about the difference between teasing and bullying. I found this article online, so I'm going to read it to you. It's just kind of some notes about the differences. And I know that I can tell from what you're describing to me that this isn't positive teasing, but I'm going to tell you what positive teasing is in any way so that you can kind of get a full picture. So children tease because it can be a fun way to provoke a reaction in someone else, and they may want to reciprocate being teased themselves. Teasing can strengthen a relationship by showing closeness and affection with another person. It can help show others what behaviors are appropriate in society. For example, teasing someone for talking with his or her mouth full communicates without being direct that this is not a polite and socially accepted behavior. Teasing also represents an indirect and non-threatening, sometimes playful, method for resolving conflicts by providing an outlet for expressing frustration or disapproval. So I think you'll understand a little bit better when I give examples. But so it would be positive if it happens within a strong relationship with two people who appreciate the teasing as affectionate. So like something that your mom and dad and you and your brother do together, when it's playful teasing and you guys kind of just like tease each other back and forth. It's said in a joking way, and so the tone isn't aggressive or rude. It's like most like smiling and giggling, right? And then positive teasing is also when the person who's being teased isn't upset by it, like doesn't get visibly upset by it. But teasing becomes bullying when it is used to alienate, criticize, and embarrass another person. So that weakens the relationship. So that like puts a strain on the relationship between the two people who are doing the teasing. The affectionate interaction of teasing can turn hostile when the person being teased is distressed by the teasing, like I said, when the person becomes upset. Teasing about physical appearance is almost always hurtful. I'm sure you can agree, right? This is not surprising since appearance has so much influence on the way that we accept people, and it's also out of the individual's control, right? A person doesn't have control over the way they look. It becomes bullying when the content of the teasing turns from affectionate to hostile. There's a power imbalance, so the person who is teasing has more power among the peers compared to the person who is being teased. Can you think of an example of what that would be?
Like when like the person says something to me about like something that's not nice, or
Well, so what it means is, let's say there is, let's say there's a student with a learning disability, or, well, let's just say that, let's just use that example, a student with a learning disability, and the bully is somebody who doesn't have a learning disability. And so he is putting this other person down, and he has that power because there's that difference. Does that make sense? That's bullying. That's real bullying. So this is kind of repeat, but it would be obvious that the child is being hurt. Some kids don't show that their feelings are hurt, right? Like sometimes, they're not comfortable with showing their emotions, so sometimes it's hard to tell. Okay. So after hearing those descriptions, when do you think a comment goes from being funny to being mean? Like, when do you think a comment that someone teasing another person would go from being jokeful or playful into crossing the line, into more of a bullying situation?
Like maybe when you when you wear a shirt that's more of like a 6th grader, and they're like, oh, well, that's not a shirt that you wear in 7th grade, and then like they would say, oh, that's like a kindergarten shirt. Like that's when it would probably hurt someone else's feelings when they say compare it to like a little kid, but like if they say it's not compared to the little kids, then I guess it could be teasing.
Yeah, I can see how that would be more hurtful, right? Because it's like putting you down, making you feel like making fun of you, and making you feel like a little kid, right?
Right.
And so it's certain things like that you feel go beyond teasing and go beyond friendship and joking. It's when the person who is doing this is thinking of ways that they know it will bother you. Okay. So can you think of another example? Like more general, like thinking of an example where maybe a situation. Like, is there a situation where you have been teased and you don't feel like it's okay? Like, you feel like it's okay? Is there a situation you can think of where it was totally fine? Maybe, is it between you and your girlfriends? Do you guys tease each other?
Maybe about, I don't really know. It's more of the stuff that we wear is more when we get teased. It's not really like, well, I mean, there was one time where they said something about like, about makeup or something, and then they said, well, you look ugly without makeup, or something like that. But I don't really remember my friends saying that. I remember the bully saying that.
So it sounds like to me like it's really only affecting you, you're only remembering it when it's mean.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing you say. And I think that's a totally fair thing to be upset about. Yeah, I understand. I understand you. So if you we know that the teacher is aware, and we are going to I'm going to talk to them again about, the seat situation. But it seems like you're doing the best that you can to avoid the situation. And maybe the boys need to be spoken to about the rules and about what they should and shouldn't be saying, because it does seem a little bit to me like it's crossing the line. I want to end our session with a quote, and we'll, you can kind of think about this quote, but just remember that next time it'll be our last session, so we'll just kind of wrap things up and talk about any last things that are on your mind. But here's the quote. So, teasing is a game. The game is, I get you to react and I win. So even if you think you have a great way to get back at them, your reaction is still their victory. The best response then is not responding to their teasing at all. Simply be unreactive. This doesn't mean be silent. You can nod your head or laugh or smile to acknowledge them, maybe even agree with them for the sake of diffusing the situation. This leaves them powerless. Teasing is fueled off of reaction, and with no reaction, it becomes almost impossible for someone to keep teasing you. Okay, I'll let you get back to class, and I'll see you next week. All right, thank you.